So you might be wondering, if you've been playing the game the month that the transogen mining stuff came out, what is the purpose of this? Why do I really need to be going for it? And what value can I get long term? Because many players have found, well, they're having a struggle bus this month, and even Revs mining. So what is it for? Well, in today's video, we're gonna talk about 4 new artifacts that have come out that are a mastery system. So you've gotten used to the mastery of the archives, that's for ships. Well, this is a new mastery system for artifacts. We're gonna talk about how that can give you Sigma, if you're a Sigma player, speed ups, materials, resources, and more. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Fancy intro music, yeah! Woohoo!
So the first thing we're going to do is start with, well, what are the 4 that we're talking about? Well, you have Pike Sextant, the Ancient Vulcan Scroll, Mbenga's Storybook, and then right behind me, you've got Spock's Ritual Gong. Now, you can obtain these in a couple of different ways. We'll talk about those in a second, but more importantly, or at least more focused for this segment, I want to talk about what they actually do and then how you actually unlock them. So number 1, you have a base weapons damage increase, you have an increase to ISO, you have an increase to ISO defense, and then right here, you're going to find an increase to Apex Barrier when fighting players in PvP. Now, which one would I go after first in the Transogen Refinery? To be honest, I'm going to go after the ISO damage one first, which is going to be the Ancient Vulcan Scroll, if you can't tell. But I don't think there's a wrong answer. In fact, you might want to base your answer based on what these are going to give you every day, because these mastery items do have daily payouts. But don't worry, we'll cover that, so just stick with me. So in terms of where they max out at, I want to show you get the details. You see this was going to max out as a 3,000% bonus, which is quite nice. If we come over to the same thing with the Vulcan Scroll, see, it's going to max out as another 50% to your isolytic damage, which is still one of the more powerful bonuses in the game today. We also have Mbenga's Storybook, giving you ISO defense, maxing out at 200%. Maybe a little less valuable if you've been doing the Wrath of Khan loop and you've unlocked Joaquin, but still, this applies to every ship, every situation. And then last but certainly not least, the Apex Barrier, which looks amazing. As you scroll down, you see 1.5 million%. You're like, holy heck, that's gotta be insane.
Now that's a lot of damage!
That's 15,000 Apex Barrier. And realistically, is that a ton? Not with Apex Shred, everything existing, but as we always love to say on this channel, more is more. Now let's talk about what you get for these things. Let's start with that, and then we'll talk about source of them. So if you go into your claims area, you're going to find a very important and very hidden away, you probably didn't know about it, set of chests. So click on your actual chest button right there, and you're gonna see, well, Rev has MA Speedups, MA Materials. What is all that? MA Resources, what are these things? So there's 4 different ones that you can unlock. I've left the one of these for you just sitting here, but we can actually take a look at what they have on the website, and I'll put those here on the screen. So you can see with the speed ups, and again, this is gonna be based on what tier you have each of those artifacts we were just looking at. So tier 1 or level 1, as you'll see on the screen, with maybe only providing you, depending on your level, for me, providing me 13 days and 16 hours of speed ups. And again, the higher level you are, the more you're going to get. So for example, a level 70 is getting 3 hours of Sigma speed ups at tier 1 from that box. What about the materials box? Well, again, that materials box is linked to that Ancient Vulcan Scroll. So the speed up one is going to be linked to Mbenga's Storybook. The materials one is going to be the Ancient Vulcan Scroll. Then we get to the parts, which is Spock's Ritual Gong. And last but certainly not least, the resources, Pike Sextant. Now, if you're a Sigma player, the Sextant and then the Storybook are probably the ones that you look at the most, because those are giving you Sigma Tritanium as well as Sigma Speedups. So those can be really, really valuable. And again, we're putting all this information on the screen so you can see it. Please do note that at the time of this video, because there were no packs to allow people to just jump ahead, we don't have all the levels, but we will have all the levels in this spreadsheet. This spreadsheet, of course, is available on my Discord. It's also the pinned comment on this video. So check the pinned comment down below so that you can see everything as we input more information. I did some this morning based on what I've unlocked, but you can go check that out for yourself. And as always, it is on the Discord. And while you're doing all these things and you're looking around, go ahead and do me another solid and like the video. Yep, just take that big old thumb and click it. You know, boop, wee, click the thumb, hit subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of when we're making more videos. So we now see that in this daily area, we can claim more goodies, and those goodies give us things, and we like having more things. More is more, as we like to say on this channel. So now let's talk about sourcing of these items. How do we go about getting them? Well, number one is very important to remind you that this is a mastery system. So it actually requires you to have gone through and unlocked a lot of artifacts. So for example, and I'll put this on the screen, in Banga's storybook, to hit level 1, not only do you have to have artifact gallery at level 30, you also have to have a certain number of artifacts that have hit level 12, 3 of them minimum. So what you're going to find is as you try to tier these up, not only do you have to unlock them in terms of getting their shards, right, which we'll talk about that here in a second, but you also have to be mindful of, have I upgraded other artifacts? Have I maxed them out? Have I done my remnants? And again, at the end of this video, there will be a link to the temporal artifacts and the regular artifacts video where I talk about maxing out artifacts, how to go about that process. And I actually focused on the Glavin there. If you haven't checked that video, well, that's going to be linked. You can check that out. It'll give you a little bit more knowledge on how the artifact system works. But you're going to need to have at least 3 level 12 artifacts to start with in Banga's storybook. Now you'll notice that you have 2 that are based off level 12 artifacts and 2 that are based off level 20 artifacts, with Pike Sexton and the Ritual Gong being based off 20s, and then in Banga's storybook and the Vulcan Scroll being based off 12. And as you go deeper on, you're also going to find AG requirements. So for example, no player can take any of these past tier 10 because you have to be a Sigma player. You have to make it to level 61. And if you remember, in recent months, Rev's really been encouraging your alliances to run on formation armadas. If you remember my G6 checklist, I said you better take your AG building up to 60 before going into G6 because you're going to need for stuff like this. So there are requirements to go through it, as you can see here, and you can make it a little bit easier with efficiencies. Don't forget your Eye of Ra. These things still do apply, so you'll need less shards than maybe you normally would, but you will need to pay attention to your building levels. Let's talk about sourcing now. So, woo-woo. Sourcing, of course, is going to be through the transogen refinery itself. And as you do through these different ones right here, the rares are what you're going to want to have mined a lot of so that you can then pay and get the special currency you need here in the artifacts rare area, which is where you're going to find the Gong, the Vulcan Scroll, the Sextant, and Banga's storybook, as well as other very powerful things that aren't mastery items, but are still very valuable. For example, like Nira's Legal Tome, which, as you can see, I have been going after. And there are a lot of other classic ones in here as well if you're wanting to speed along some of those progressions. But in terms of focal points, I would say these are focal points because not only are you getting really good bonuses today, you're also getting these daily turn-ins that you can take advantage of, whether it be speed ups, materials, etc. And especially for our G4 players, they're really going to want those materials, right? A lot of G4 players are talking about needing more rares and uncommons. Well, there you go. Then that means you want to really work on the Ancient Vulcan Scroll. As in addition, you'll get the ISO damage boost. Let's say you're a G6 player. Well, then you're clearly going to want to focus on Pike Sexton because that's giving you Sigma Tritanium every day. Not to mention you're also going to want Mbanga's Storybook, which is the 4th one on the list, because that gives you Sigma Speedups. At tier 3, that was 6 hours of Sigma Speedups every day. And while that not itself a ton, it adds up over time. And then of course, the higher tier you get, the better you're going to end up having long term. So sourcing is baked in through here, which requires you to do the mining. I want to point out for our lower level players, as you're getting into this, my low level account level 34 is still taking advantage because we want to get into some of these common artifacts. And again, you want to max them out because remember, there is a requirement to max out artifacts before you can progress some of these mastery artifacts. So that means even as a lower level player, this is giving you more sourcing to artifacts and allowing you to work on that process sooner. Even if you feel like, hey, I don't really need those, you do, so that you can work on this mastery system. And again, this is giving you a lot of long-term payout. It's been a grindy month, absolutely. But the mastery system, I think, is something that has slid under the rug that maybe not a lot of people have noticed. I know I've gotten a lot of DMs asking about it, but in terms of how to use it, that is how it works. It's something that you're going to want to look at, work on, and as a continual reminder to everybody, make sure y'all still, as an alliance, go out, run those formation armadas, run those Crenum formation armadas, get those goodies, and try to max out and unlock all these artifacts because they do have surprisingly some of the best bonuses in the game. It definitely can help you out. If this video helped you out, make sure you like it as we asked you before. Live long and plunder. Stay safe with the Space Cowboys. And one other thing, come check out our merch store. Last night with our members of our merch store, RevDeuce.com, we actually watched Strange New World Season 3. We had a great time, and it also is the best place for merchandising. May the Schwartz be with you. Spaceballs 2 is coming out, and even though my camera doesn't want to focus, you can get great merchandise at RevDeuce.com, whether you're a fan of Star Trek, Fleet Command, War Thunder, etc. Check it out. Have some fun. It is a game, after all. Let me know if you have any questions about the mastery system. Comments down below. See ya on the next one.
I would like to request to Scopely to add more Klingons to the game. That is what I was told to do, and so I am doing it. Which, you know, is not maybe the best thing as a leader to just do what you're told, but it seems like a good request to make to add more Klingons. Everything is better with Klingons, am I right? I am right, because I'm a Klingon. Klingon mach tach judge! We are Klingons, let it remain. All right, Rel's on a roll today. She's very excited.